Hey, just want to make sure that we are live, and it seems that we are. Great, great. Cool. All right, so if you are live with me right now, just shout out in the chat function. Okay, cool, great. Well, so today I really want to get the ball rolling, right? So I think there's some very exciting data analysis that we have done so far recently with regards to some of the properties that's going to be a very hot favorite, especially if today you're staying in the west side and you're very familiar with some of the properties within the Upper Bukit Timah, Bukit Panjang side, the west side. So I'm going to kind of give you guys the bells and whistles of these two projects that I'm going to do a comparison in. And today, if let's say this is the first time that you are kind of viewing it, I will most appreciate if you are able to subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to actually do all this data and research for the benefit of you at home going through the videos. So if you are not subscribed, please just click on the subscribe button and do hit the notification bell, because once you hit on it, whenever I do any new videos just like this, you'll be updated immediately and you can come in to learn as a Singapore real estate insider. Great. All right, so I just want to give you guys a quick, let me just make sure that we are in okay. Yeah, great. All right, so the key thing that I think for the last couple of months, I think there's a lot of, how should I call it? Overwhelming. Okay, a little bit overwhelming towards a lot of my clients and buyers as well out there. Because why? Because every other week, how many of you agree that you have been bombarded with launches after launches after launches? And it's very rarely seen that even over a weekend, there are two launches happening at the same time. So this has been ongoing for the last couple of weeks, or even should I say the last 2 to 3 months. And there's a kind of a fatigue. So for those of you who have been actually following me online, you can also see that maybe a lot of other videos that you're seeing online, there's a fatigue going on. There's so many different comparisons until you also gong, or so you also confuse yourself of what is happening, right? So for those of you who have been following me for quite a while, you know, I always give a very transparent analysis. Okay, I do not hold back. If the project is good and the layout, the prices is good, I will tell you upfront that, hey, this is something worth considering. And on the other end, if let's say the project is not as fantastic, I will also share with you my views and why do I think so. So this is a very transparent arrangement and videos that I'm doing. And for those who have been following me and you have been sharing with me what kind of videos that you want me to actually produce so that you can make a better informed decision as a homeowner, I really appreciate you and your comments and your feedbacks. Okay, so keep those comments and feedbacks coming in. I will always want to read every single one of them and respond to you personally if needed, so that I can actually help you in your pursuit for your property choice. Okay, so for the last 2 to 3 months, I think it has been very, very exciting on our end for the team as well, because we do have a lot of you who reach out to us personally requesting help in your property selection. And because with this overwhelming fatigue in terms of different launches, you could be swayed because of all the hype, of all the noises out there. So by you approaching us, I will be able to give you a very sound direction, okay, a very sound direction, as well as a very concise understanding and clarity about what your plans are and what kind of properties are more suitable for you. So this is generally the objective of why I want to do this, you see. And I've been seeing a lot of families, buyers, many a times they bought the wrong property because of the hype. And when they went in, because it's so pretty, they just buy in without understanding how's their entry prices, how their exit prices. So if you are falling into this category and you are in the midst of purchasing something, or you have plans to explore some properties, right, you can always reach out to me. I will personally share with you some of the perspectives that perhaps you could be missing out. And my role is really to facilitate this entire process to help you make a better informed decision instead of you going in blindly. All right, I think for anything properties right now is worth $1 million and above. I don't think we should take the chance to second guess ourselves into the market. I would believe you should have more options before you decide what is best for you and your family moving forward. All right, but coming back to today's session, we're going to touch on these two very dynamic projects, and because they are so near to each other. Okay, so we're going to do a challenge. Okay, we're going to do a battle between these two properties, and they are primarily in the Bukit Panjang area. And if you know where I'm coming in, comment below what do you think these two properties are, and perhaps you've been following a lot of all these updates and news and videos online. If you know about these two properties that's going to be in Bukit Panjang and I'm actually doing a challenge for it, just feel free to comment in the comment section below. All right, so let me just share my screen a little bit so that we can kick off. And I think it's for a start, I think what we are looking at is really the OCR area. Okay, so a lot of times when let me see, can we see the screen? Give me a second while I share the screen. Okay, it's not showing. Or is it? Oh yeah, it's showing. All right, cool. All right, so the fact of the matter is, I think for the last couple of years, ever since 2018, 2019, many a times when we are talking about the OCR, which is the mass market, many homeowners are a little bit more concerned. Why? Because it has escalated quite a fair bit, all right, in terms of prices. So from a investable perspective, many of them feel that, hey, the OCR is a little bit inflated in terms of prices. And I can't blame you to think that way, because back in 2018, 2019, that's when a lot of en bloc cases was all in the OCR region. And that's where a huge amount of supply also contributed from that period and in the OCR area, which is why this year we're going to have a record at least 16,000 of units, and primarily a lot of them are from the OCR market. We're talking about Treasures and Tampines, Florence, TOP, Momentum Park. So a lot of all these OCR properties are going to be coming into the marketplace. But the question I want to ask every one of you here, do you think that there is still potential in the OCR market? All right, so this is a very good question that you have to kind of answer yourself. So generally, when anyone asks me this, right, I will always filter it off a different way. All right, so first of all, why is OCR still beneficial in terms of the value proposition? Okay, first of all, we must understand majority of the homeowners are still concentrated in the OCR region. That's where the mass market is. So 80 to 90% of us who own property, we are having properties in the mass market, right? So to see that is because of the demand and supply situation. If there's a lot of supply in a certain area, there's always going to be demand going into that zone. So I always see that OCR is there are some time where it's going to be worth you to consider back in. And this is now a very interesting period of time where we are starting to see some of the OCR projects that is worth to consider. I'm not saying all the projects, okay? I want to be brutally upfront. Not all the projects out there we should enter into the market at this moment. Okay, but if you have been following me, you will follow some of my guidelines, and that's where we will select the right property with the right pricing to enter. But in general, I want to give you guys why the OCR proposition in terms of value is still there. Of course, the first thing we're talking about, generally the OCR prices are always more valuable. Okay, I mean, I would say price more affordable than the RCR and the CCR zone, right? I mean, this is quite standard for all. So if we are talking about OCR right now, we are crossing the 2,000 mark. How much will the RCR as well as the CCR going to be in the next 3 to 5 years down the road? So that could pose to be some buddies out of reach in terms of their budgeting. They may not be able to afford as much. So we will probably still see a higher demand for the OCR property prices. And later on, we will also cover a little bit in terms of the OCR stock. Okay, although I did mention 2018, 2019, we have so many property in terms of units coming into the market. But is there still a lack of supply in the market for OCR? So let us study it a little bit. And of course, as I mentioned, reasonable pricing, because this is mostly for the mass market. And with the face of the rising land costs, how do we see OCR in the future? So what we have done is that we do understand that from a home new prices perspective, for Singapore property in general, not only just in OCR, right? We know that the prices eventually will continue to go up higher and higher. From 2016, where it hovers about 1,200, and during then people are really complaining, 1,200 is very expensive, But what are we experiencing right now? Okay, easily 2,000 per square foot. So the question is, 10 years ago, or should I say barely 8 years ago, we are complaining about property prices crossing the over $1,000 per square foot in the OCR zone. Can you imagine in a short, not even 5 years, 9 years, not even 10 years, right? We're experiencing a $2,000 per square foot in terms of the mass market. So the question is, now that it has already crossed 2,000, will it cross 3,000? All right, why not share with me your comment? Will there be a possibility for your OCR prices to cross 3,000? I wouldn't say immediately, but in the next 10 years. What do you think? Share your answers inside the comment. I would really love to see what's your thought process. I mean, I think one of the key thing, many homeowners, if let's say you've been doing research and you kind of lost in the noises of property, chances are is because you lack some of the research data and numbers to kind of guide you to purchase the right property. And that's why you are kind of on the fence, like, oh, should I enter or should I not enter? I think this is a very common situation that many homeowners out there are worrying about. And I can't blame you, because right now the market prices are very, very high. You know, interest rates are still hovering on the high side. And the economy, there's a lukewarm kind of situations in the economy where we have been feeling this for the last 1.5 years, but yet we are not sensing that it's going to be better in that way. But then on the other fence, do you agree that you are still seeing a lot of buyers buying property, and over the newspapers, the social media, we are still seeing launches after launches being sold? You know, although their percentage is not as crazy as the last 3 years or so, but people are still purchasing. So the question is, are we missing something out? That's one of the part that whenever we got our clients on using our REI method, we dive in quite a lot in terms of research data and numbers to determine, first of all, whether today, in today's market, is it still worth to enter or not? I think this is a very big question. Many consumers out there are lost. All right. So what I always do, for those of you who are really kind of like you're lost whether you should enter the market or should you wait 3, 6, or even 8 months down the road to enter the market, and you want to have a very clear direction, right? Do reach out to us so that I can share with you some of the data and research that we have done that can help you make a better decision to decide, should you do it now or should you later, once and for all, right? So because of this, right, we have kind of understand that the demand for OCR in the last 5 years has generally been quite high. You see, from 3,000, 4,000, these are the usual demand in OCR market. But moving forward for last year, the demand drops quite a fair bit. But practically every single other year, right, if we're talking about on average, we should require about 3,000 over units. But right now, back in 2022, right, we only have a supply of 2,300, which is why this is one of the reasons why we are also seeing prices went up during 2022, and now moving into 2023, prices are still going to increase. And I'm not saying that I'm projecting. I just study based on the fundamentals of supply and demand, okay, which is a very crucial, I would say, factor to determine whether prices are going to rise in the different areas or not. Because right now, if you look at the supply, right, we're talking about a balance of maybe about 404 units. And take note, this information that because I tabulated this quite a while back, right? This is back in May. Okay, now we are already 4 months more, right? Basically, these numbers have already dropped. But we are only left this kind of supply in the OCR market. So the question is, if let's say averagely we need at least 3,800 units, but right now we only command, let's say 400. So if we have not enough supply, but there's still demand there, ask yourself the question, what will happen to price? Will price go up or price comes down? So this is one of the key criteria, or should I say factor, that before you re-enter into the market, you do want to study about the supply and demand in the entire Singapore market. And then through the research that we will provide you and the data, we will dive in deeper into the different zones and different estate as well. So we do have data that can direct us in the right position, so you don't anyhow second guess yourself into it. And this is also primarily the reason why, if you look at like reserve residences where they sold, one of the best performing in this entire year, right, at 71%, their average per square foot also not low but I mean, there's always a mixed feeling about this property, because I think everybody knows that how much they have bought, and how much profit they could have, they already made, even though their per square foot is very, very attractive. And I think this is one of the reasons why the Upper Bukit Timah area moving forward upwards, right, to even Bukit Panjang, I do see that there's a huge potential moving forward. So if let's say today you really want to have the first mover advantage and you want to keep kind of your PSF low and your entry price lower, right? That area is somewhere that I will definitely want to consider, depending on your situation, of course. What's your plan? What's your holding period like? Before we actually discuss on what can be done. Because any areas, right? Like for example, I'm sure you all already know for the entire Beauty World area, the entire transformation, it has already been released since 2020, right? The entire rejuvenation process. So when we are doing our research in this, actually back in the last 3 to 4 years, we have already advised our clients to go into a certain area where there's not much transformation yet, but they will see it in the next couple of years. Does it make sense? Because today, if you go into a certain area that is a little bit more mature, you have to prepare to pay a premium in terms of your purchase price. So one of the strategy that we do in our REI method is to go into areas where you do not need to wait 10, 20 years for the transformation to appear, to happen, but you are able to what? See it and profit from it in the next 3, 5, or even 6 years down the road. So that's what we call a short to mid-term kind of entry and exit plan. Okay, so that is very much why our clients always follow through us and buying and exiting so that they can re-enter the market with precision, with confidence, and without second guessing. Right, so of course, I'm not going to touch on too much about this transformation, but I'm just going to share with you because of all this news about Beauty World area. It's going to kind of what? Spill over to the area where the Bukit Panjang is. And quickly, I just want to, later on, I'll also touch on a little bit on the comparison in terms of the layout. Okay, between these two projects, what is the main thing that is drawing? And today, if let's say you are really looking at the Bukit Panjang area, you know, what are the key things that you should take note of? And based on the layout of each project, you know, what are the pros and cons that I personally see that you should factor that in as a consumer and as a buyer when you're buying the properties. Okay, so of course, these two properties is none other than the Myst as well as Arden. Okay, so for those of you who have been following my videos and you kind of already kind of guess these two properties, right? So the Myst has already been launched, and of course, Arden is coming soon during the launch, and we're going to see how far it's going to take. So today, there may be two groups of you out there right now. The first group is you have already put in your check for Arden, and you're hoping that your ballot queue number is very good and you purchase that property. All right. So if you are in that sense and you have not done any research, then this video is for you. Okay. The second group is you're kind of torn between these two. You still cannot decide whether you should go for the Arden or the Myst. And if you fall into this category, you still have some time, okay, to go through with me personally so that I can guide you whether based on your situation and your future plans for properties, which property type and the entry price is ideal for you. So if you are falling into either one of this group and you need some assurance and confidence about your property plans, do reach out. My contact number can be found in the description as well. All right, so let us quickly give you an overview about these two properties. First of all, of course, both of these two properties are 8 minutes walk within all the 3 malls. Also, whether you left, right, center, you can still go to these 3 malls. We are talking about the Bukit Panjang Plaza, Junction 10, and Hillen. So it's very rare in the OCR zone, all right, where you are kind of near these 3 malls, and you are also not too far away from the major transformation in Beauty World that's happening. So I think the moving forward, the western side, okay, I want to be very transparent here. It's going to be quite exciting. So for my friends who are Western, stay in the West, and you kind of wanting to do something about your property, I think you should start planning, because it's going to be very exciting in the next, I would say, 5 years or 8 years, 5 to 8 years down the road. There's going to be huge opportunity, and you want to play your cards right. You definitely want to play your cards right, and not all, okay, not all areas are going to be able to give you a very comfortable profit. but we do have spot some areas where we are very confident in terms of their potential, and by buying it in with the correct pricing, I think you have more to gain than to lose, or in the next 5 years or so. So of course, why these two properties are something that I want to do a comparison is also because it's very rare that you have two properties that is relatively very close to each other. Okay, and they are also in the downtown line where you are 3 to 4 stops to the entire beauty world transformation. So you're kind of near to the entire transformation, which means that there's going to be definitely a spillover. Okay, a spillover. And downtown line, I'm sure you all are aware, is the only line that practically you have every interchange that you can go anywhere. Also, I will call Circle Line always, downtown line always the most expensive line. Okay, most expensive line. The reason why, because some of all these lines, right, not many people will use one. Why? Because they are mostly people who stay in London, the area. Also, you go in, also, wow, very quiet, lesser people, but yet you are very convenient to go down to the town area. No longer you need you don't need to drive anymore. If I staying in any lines that is downtown line, I think I can go across anywhere in Singapore very, very easily. All right, so this is, of course, for those who are not so familiar with the Bukit Panjang area and the Upper Bukit Timah. I just want to touch on a little bit before I dive into the layout. So if you have been waiting to see my layout analysis, well, do continue to watch on, because I will give you a very in-depth covering all the different types of layout and the property types, whether it's from 2 bedroom to 4 bedrooms all the way. So in this area, besides that, of course, from a downtown line, you are also one stop to the Choa Chu Kang regional line. And this is very, very important for the future developments of the west side in the next 10 years. Okay, so this is something definitely more exciting. But if you're looking at something that's more current, okay, even if you're staying in Upper Bukit Timah area or Bukit Panjang, I would say that the downtown line is a lifelong educational hub, because every other stations, you also have some kind of schools, whether it's primary school, secondary school, even all the 名校 or all the very well-known schools available. So that's why the margin in terms of the potential has quite a fair bit in terms of wide range. And probably that is also one of the reasons why this area is kind of a forgotten area, because for the last 5-6 years, there's a lot of hype in the different zones of Singapore. And moving forward for the next 10 years, I dare to say, for the next 10 years, the western side is going to have a lot of hype, a lot of movement going on, which will benefit you only if you have planned your entry and exit well to make a huge profit out of it. Okay, this one is definitely, we have been following through some of this. So that's why we are able to know what is actually going on for this area. Okay, cool. All right, so of course, the other things that I want to touch on a little bit is, as I mentioned, the west side is going to have quite a fair bit. All right, Bukit Timah transformation is really ongoing. But I think the Jurong Lake district, finally, we are seeing really, really good news, really great news about this entire area that is going to happen. And there has been a lot of news about the Tengah town transformation, which they already started to have HDBs as well as ECs there. So that is always the first indicator for township. Okay, township building. So definitely Tengah is going to be another township that is going to support the entire west side transformation. And don't forget about our Jurong Innovation District. And these are all not going to happen immediately. Okay, I dislike whenever they shout about transformation like it's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, so I really, really discourage that kind of pitch. But at the same time, I will be very open to share with you, even though we are having all these transformations, they will be done in phases, which is why I mentioned that within these 10 years, okay, within these 10 years, it will be very exciting. But the question is, do you want to have the first move advantage in? You definitely want to look at it that way, because today, whatever you purchase now, you still need to have a story to sell when you want to upgrade to the next property in a different area, which comes to why the Myst and the Arden will definitely have your next purchaser very easily, because why? We are in the town of a lot of HDB upgraders. And probably today, if you are buying a properties and your plan is to hold it maybe very short to mid-term, we're talking about 3 to 6 years, you must always have upgraders to buy your property. Okay, if you are in a zone where you don't have much HDBs, then you may be restricting yourself for all these upgraders, because upgraders, probably 20 to 30% of them will have this desire to upgrade to a condominium, and majority of them, 90%, will want to what? Upgrade to somewhere that is close enough, they're familiar with, to their properties. Okay, so all these are the portion where how we guide our clients to actually buy into the correct location, buy into the right pricing so that they can exit later on. So with the Myst and the Arden right smack in the center of a lot of all this, I think the lifestyle for properties and the lifestyle of how we see properties has changed ever since COVID. And west side, of course, we have the entire rear corridor. I think these are something that a lot of places don't have, and which is why the western side has been gaining a lot of interest. Okay, I mean, we are on the ground, we're still on the ground, which is what we are seeing. A lot of interest has started to shift towards the western side. And that could be a huge potential in the years to come, where you can enter in to have the first mover advantage and to see how the market and the transformation plays to your advantage. Okay, and I just want to quickly just share with you a little bit in terms of the trend. Like the OCR prices in May already hit about 2,103, and that's for the mass market. Of course, if you look at the other locations, we are already crossing the 3,000 mark. And many a times I do speak to some folks that they missed quite a few boats or in the past 10 years. They are still waiting for the prices to reverse, reverse in order. Also looking at this, maybe you can share with me in the comment, will it happen to go back to 10 years ago prices, or don't just say 10 years lah, or 4 years ago prices or not? Will it go back in time, or ask ourselves truthfully lah, okay? So if we don't see that coming, and generally because of supply and demand and the scarcity of land, then the question is, the earlier that you can accept the new price point, okay, the earlier you can accept the pricing for OCR, the faster you can make a decision. Why? Because the first mover advantage is always for those who dare to accept that this is going to be a norm. They can take action quickly, and majority of them will always benefit from their action plan, rather than those who are worried and they've been waiting for the prices to come down. Because from here, you can see very easily for OCR prices, we just talk about Amor residences, their average per square foot is already crossing the 2,002 mark per square foot. Lentor model, which has an MRT, they are already crossing at below more than $2,300 per square foot. Seneca at Tanah Merah also above $2,100 per square foot. And Botany, right, not near the MRT, already crossing $2,000 per square foot. So today, if you are really somebody who intend to enter to the market, but yet you're kind of concerned, I think I want to wait some more, and let me wait until the price comes down. I only have one word. Be careful lah, be careful. So that is also the reason why today, because of this increase in prices, this is exactly the same words I shared with my client this afternoon. Because the prices are higher, because the interest rates are higher, and the economy don't seem to be so rosy, the more you have to be careful in your selection. Does it make sense, my friend? If it makes sense, just type in "makes sense." Okay? Because why? Because today everything is on a high, and if you anyhow purchase that property, will you put yourself in a very high risk environment? All right. So our role using the REI method is to help you reduce this risk as low as possible. Can we reduce it to zero risk? If I tell you, I'm bluffing you. Okay, there can never be a no risk property. There will always be risk in any form of purchase, whether you're buying an investment, stocks, whatever, there will always be risk. But the question is, are we using data research and numbers to determine the risk? How can we lower this risk as much as we can, so that when we are entering into the market, we know what is happening? Right? How many of you agree that if you are able to buy a property basing on facts, basing on data, you are more confident in going through this and understanding what's the consequences. All right, so this is one of the key things that why we run through multiple sessions with our clients before buying a property is because we want you to have the confidence yourself, not because Edmund says so. We will look at the data, we study it together, we analyze it together before we decide, is this something good for us? How many of you find that if, let's say, you go through this process, you'll be more confident into entering the market? And this is exactly why data and numbers are very important. Okay. And if you look at Park Clementi's, they can already accept as a sub-sale. Okay, these are all transacted 2023, already crossing $2,000 per square foot. All right, seaside residences, of course, this one is in the east, also went up 2003 to 2,500 plus per square foot. So today, of course, for Arden, they have not been released in terms of pricing. So we're using the starting price guide, okay, as an estimate. Of course, the Myst, we already have their pricing, so it's more accurate. Just take note, the other prices here is an indicative because at the point of this recording, it has not been launched. But one thing that you must understand is why we always study into the location. So practically, they are also basically near to each other in terms of MRT. And for the other, we are expecting the launch starting from about $1,680 per square foot, and the Myst at 1,800 plus per square foot. Wow, then the next question is, $200 per square foot? Of course, I go and buy Arden. Okay, how many of you start thinking already? Because they are generally in the same location, same district, and they are also close to the 3 malls and the MRT, also very close by. So why does Myst command almost $200 more than the other? That's why later on we will study it together. All right, we will study it together. So I just want to give you a quick overview map at the moment of what are we seeing in the future plans of this entire Bukit Panjang area. So besides the Arden and the Myst, right, we already understand that there are basically 5 more plots at Midwood area. Okay, we are talking about this area or Midwood. Midwood side, we have about 5 more plots. And the dairy farm area, okay, we have about 7 more plots. That is government land sales. Okay, they have not been launched yet. There's no tender yet. But we know for sure they are all residential. Okay, because from the master plan, we're able to see the colors, okay, the zoning, the height level and everything. And the key thing is all the new plots, okay, besides the 5 plots at Midwood, right? The 7 plots at Dairy Farm are no near any MRT. Okay, they are no near any MRT. The closest one is the 5 plots. Okay, the 5 plots are here. Okay, they are nearer to the MRT, but for the 7 plots in Dairy Farm, they are not. So the question we must ask ourselves is, today, if let's say you are a consumer and you are given a choice, okay, if both prices are quite similar, or we are talking about maybe less than the $50 per square foot difference, will you pay the property for a MRT or will you pay one without? I think you will know the answer yourself better than me if the difference is maybe about $50 per square foot. Because today, our role as your consultant, as your advisor, is to pack as much positive element into your property as much as we can within your affordability. Does it make sense? So when we sell, there's more story that we can pack in to help you sell at a better pricing. All right. So with this 12 plots coming up, right, they are going to, of course, in general, pushes the entire prices up later. But from an exit perspective, will people demand almost the same price to have buying a property nearing to the MRT or not? This one I leave to you all to comment inside and share. Okay. And let me ask, just also study from a pricing perspective in terms of MRT along the downtown line, because this will give us also an understanding. Hey, actually downtown line MRT property prices do they actually decrease or not? What's the average per square foot? Are they really that desirable like what Edmund says? Okay. So because we are in the same MRT, remember, it's the same MRT line. One stop is not going to make too much of a difference in terms of distance and traveling, because you ultimately still go to the same area like Beauty World and King Albert Park. But if let's say we look at from a typical pricing perspective, Arden is about 1,680. The Myst starting from 1,008. All right, Hillview already transacted, and you need to walk 15 minutes at 2,001. You need to walk 15 minutes to MRT, but you are paying 2,001. Whereas Arden and the Myst below 2,000. Okay, depending on the unit, of course. All right, then we look at further down. Wow, I want the transformation. I want everything so convenient. I want the transport hub. I just go down in my shorts. I can buy food and then go up. Great, but prepare to pay the premium lah. Okay, because the average is about 2,400 plus, all the way to 2,800 plus. Okay, I do have some clients who reach out to us and then they bought at 2,008 plus, asking me, should they continue the purchase or not? Okay, how many of you want to guess what's my response to them when they bought 2,800 plus for reserve residences? And share inside the comment. What did I share? Okay, all right. Then those who answer correctly, then maybe I'll reach out to you and then we can have some chit chat. Okay, yeah. So this is how the prices goes, right? Then King Albert Park, wow, Mayfair Modern. Of course, Mayfair Modern considered that they launched earlier, a couple of years ago, right? Already transacting at 2003 to 2004, but you're in the same MRT line. You can still get to the same town. You can still get to the same transformation area. And 4th Avenue are averaging about 2004 to 2007. Of course, 4th Avenue is practically you roll to the MRT. Okay, so you do pay a little bit of a premium, but the premium is justifiable because you're really, really near the MRT. So the question is, majority of this, 70 to 80% of this are already crossing the 2000 mark. Today, if I'm able to have a lower entry of 1,006 to even 1,008 plus, am I putting myself at a disfavor? Okay, because ultimately, whether you're buying new launch or not, ultimately it will still become a resale. And when you want to sell your property units, the quickest and the fastest, right? Do you want to make sure that your price is also lower than the rest and for them to actually buy into it? So that's why when we are looking at how do we actually study in terms of safe entry and exit, right? So today, right, let's say today you are able to buy OCR property prices at 1,006 plus, and the 99 leasehold, they're already starting from 2,000 for a sub-sale. And the new benchmark for OCR moving forward is definitely from 2002. So the faster you can accept that, hey, this is going to be the new price tag, right? You are able to start sniffing out undervalued properties. You are start able to see that, hey, what properties are lower in terms of pricing, and you can take action and move forward. Okay, so this is one of the way that we study in terms of pricing. Of course, we do a lot more benchmark research to ensure that property you buy is not anyhow and all. We will really need to justify using our 5-point analysis. So coming back to Arden and the Myst, right? Both are reputable developers. So I'm not so concerned about them. And Qingjian and CDL, they're very good. But let's just do a closer comparison for these two properties. And they are both going to TOP almost the same time, Q2 to Q3 in 2027. Okay. And the difference, okay, let me share with you the difference is that Arden is a much more smaller land plot. Okay, about 70,000 only. Okay. And that's why they will only build 105 units. Versus the Myst, right? We are talking about the 480 units. Okay. And so the similarity for these two is that both of them have basement car park. Okay, very important. And the Myst has about 80%, okay, of lots, which is common for most of the condos near MRT lah. Okay, because most of the smaller units are usually tenanted out. And Arden has a 1-for-1 car park, wow, which is also very rare. Okay, why do I want to share with you this? Because these are some of the things most consumers miss out. Okay, they go into the show flat already. Then the agent share with them, until they also don't know what are they looking at. They just have to, okay, buy lah, so nice, buy lah. Okay. The reason why I start channels like this and I do analysis, because I want to point out some of the usual traps that homeowners fall into and they did not realize until they purchase. Okay. Recently I have a client, not my client, but a client who bought the property through somebody else and then come upon reach out to me and I just have some discussion, and he was like, Edmund, I didn't realize the property I bought, I mean I buy already lah, but do you think the rubbish chute will be a problem or not? And I said, why do you ask me this? All right, but you bought your property already? Yeah, because after I buy then I realized, hey, the rubbish chute right outside my house. So these are the small things that most consumers miss out lah. And of course, whoever that is selling to you, likelihood you never ask, they won't say. Okay, to be honest. All right. So for us is we were already filter off a lot of all this negativity of a property, and we will guide you on how to choose the property along with the unit, the facing, the height level, even to the pricing. So that's why we are always very confident that our clients who bought properties through us, whether they are using it a short term or mid term, they will still be able to profit from this property because of the selection of the properties. So coming back to the Arden and the Myst, yeah, so these are the main differences. Okay, basically. So then your question will ask like, so Edmund, I hear a lot of people say that a small development, I shouldn't buy because there's not enough transactions to push up my prices. How true it is. So I do have one video that I did talking about smaller development versus the bigger developments. In theory, it does make sense. Agree? But today, I think the climate has changed. If you are talking about a bigger development, how big are we talking about? And how small are we talking about? 3 years, 4 years ago, maybe you will say that small development is 200 units because during that period, all the launches are 1,000, 800 and 1,000 or 2,000 units. So then it makes your 200 very small. Man. But moving forward, a lot of the launches, I think they will not even cross the, very rare you will get the 1,000 units and above. And most of them are hovering between the 200 to even 800 units type of plot size. So then the question we have to ask ourselves is, besides just looking at the development, is 100 units actually considered small? All right. It's not so much about the size of the development, but the number of unit types that you can have transaction with, and whether there's a demand that is going to buy your property or not. So later on, we will also study a little bit more in terms of the mix of the property for both the Arden and the Myst. Okay, so I just want to give you a quick side information. Of course, for both properties, for the Arden, right, this is the Arden. Okay, they are nested in the landed zone, and the blocks are basically facing each other and the facilities. Okay, so you have the south and the north facing, then your pool, playground, everything all in the center. You see, so these are how the Arden mix is. So do understand Arden is about 108 units. Okay, so typically, if you compare to Myst, of course, this one is considered smaller because relative, right? Small and big is always relative, right? But if I compare the Myst with Hillian, you know, so there's always this disparity between big and small. So I think more importantly is we will need to look at the breakdown in terms of the unit types, which is more important. So of course, for the Myst, if we look at the Myst, you can see that they are generally in terms of size is 400 over units. And one thing that I really particularly like how Cindior does it is their blocks don't actually face each other. So this is very clever of them to have this unblocked views towards the school or even the 4-story Hazel Park condo, depending on which floor you get. And the Myst is a full condo facilities, okay, widely spread out. And very rare, okay, for OCR, they even have concierge services. Wow, so when you come back, there's a reception service on arrival. So this is very, very rare, huh? Okay, the welcome and assistance. Yeah, so I think CDL, I mean, you know, they are the top developers. They are trying to, you know, change the game. They want to ensure that from a service perspective, the concierge perspective, and as long as they are the one who built it, they want to provide this kind of autonomous, okay, for the homeowners, the tenants. I think this is a way to kind of differentiate yourself. And very importantly, when you're buying a property, you do need to differentiate yourself because if not, you're just like anyone others. So let us take a look at the comparison. What are the different types? Okay, so for the Myst, of course, if we talk about the Myst and Arden, so the Myst is definitely in terms of size is bigger lah. So that's the also reason why they are able to fit in a 1+ study. Whereas for the Arden, I think they only focus on the 2-bedroom to start. All right, so let us do a quick comparison between the 2 bedrooms. Okay, so Arden has basically the 657 and 721 square feet. So it's a 2-bed, 1 bath, as well as a 2-bed, 2 bath. And then we're going to compare to the what? 2-bed, 2 bath, 678. But I'm going to do also some comparison to whether the 1+ study versus their 2-bed, 1 bath, how do they stand out? Okay, so I'm going to do a very comprehensive video on now on this. So if today this is your first time following me and you can't wait for me to do all this analysis, at least give me a thumbs up, give me a like, okay, share yourself, share your comments inside so that we know what kind of videos would you like us to actually do for you. And don't forget to subscribe the button and click the button and put on the notification bell. So whenever I do this kind of analysis, you can learn as much as you can. All right, cool. Thank you so much for all your presence here. All right, so I will always like to plug in prices into a map so that I can see better, and when I explain to my clients, they can see it easily. So let us just quickly, from here, we are able to see that from an Arden perspective, right? They are basically, there are 2 beds, 2 bed, 1 bath. We are talking about averagely should be about 1.148 million, whereas the 2 bed, 2 bath should be about 1.323 million. And for the Myst, easily we're talking about 1.364, which is their 2 bed, 2 bath. Okay, 678 square feet. So this is how we do a comparison, and we need to compare the nearest latest new properties, which is Botany. So their 2 bed, 2 bath is already going at 1.466. So the question is, why did Botany sell this kind of pricing and they are not even near the MRT? 2,162 per square foot at almost the same size. So from here, you can start seeing, so does Botany actually, is it cheaper or is it more expensive? Share your thoughts. Okay, now that I put this together, you will start seeing how we start seeing comparison. And this is very important. Most of us, when we buy, we didn't realize. Okay, so let us take a look at the layout. So I'm going to compare Arden's 2 bed, 1 bath with the Myst 1 plus study to kind of just see from an investment perspective which one is more ideal. All right, so the Arden, of course, this one being a proper 2 bed, 1 bath, you will have your proper bedrooms, and at 1.148 is cheaper than your 1 plus study. Can you see the difference? But of course, we must also acknowledge that the Myst is a bigger development. Okay, there are more facilities, there are unblocked views for every unit. And so these are some of the factors that why buyers may consider to pay the extra per square foot of the Myst, even though it's a smaller unit and it's only a 1 plus study. Okay, so and being a reputable developer, I mean, both are reputable, but if you talk about CDL, wow, everybody sometimes buy into the name also. Okay, which one will appeal to different buyers? But today, if you are looking from a pure investment, okay, I always have this guideline. You just have to go for the lowest price possible. Okay, but then yet at the same time, lowest price doesn't mean that it's the best. May not. Okay, when it's lower price, we also need to factor out, okay, what are the so-called not so ideal about the property. Then we see, does it command the premium that in the other property that we have? So this is how we usually analyze, and then many of the times we kind of fighting with each other because we are doing some comparison, right? Okay, so rental, okay, rental, we also have to start seeing that, okay, today when I want to rent it out, which one will give me a better, more sought after? Okay, because Arden, ultimately you will have minimum facilities. Okay, in case you don't know, Arden's function rooms are all in the basement. All right, but there are some tenants who prefer a smaller development because they want more privacy, or most of them, they don't even bother about the facilities. They just go in and sleep. So there are always pros and cons for each property. And when you reach out to us, we will do a deep dive into understanding what's your direction, what's your plans, what's the holding period like, so that we can advise you what kind of properties that we should go for. All right, so let us study a more closer comparison, which is both are the 2 bed, 2 bath. So now this one very interesting. Okay, very interesting because both have enclosed kitchen. Okay, so for both, if you see the kitchen, they are both enclosed. Okay, and then for the where do you call it? Yeah, they are all enclosed kitchen. But what stands out for the Arden, okay, is that this is something that is also seldom shared, or most consumers also miss this out, is that most 2 bed, 2 bath, you really don't get windows. Okay, this afternoon I was just at Florence Residences, the property that I helped my client to purchase. The only reason why we bought that for investment is because the kitchen got window. Wow. So very ventilated. And on top of that, why we advise them to buy that property is because it's very bright. So a lot of consumers, when they buy a 2 bed, 2 bath, their concern is always either it's an open kitchen, okay, there's no ventilation, don't talk about window, and if it's enclosed, it's very dark. Okay, it's only there's no even ventilation, there's no window. So the unit that we bought for our client for Florence, it comes with window and a see-through glass became part of your kitchen, which is your kitchen very bright. Okay, so for this, of course, for Arden, it stands out because they do have a window. So means ventilation, brightness, everything is. So the Myst do lose out a little bit because it's still enclosed. There's no window whatsoever. Yeah, but then on the other hand, Myst is a dumbbell layout lah. Or dumbbell means your bedroom one, master room as well as bedroom is side by on the other end of each other. And generally, a lot of consumers, investors, they like to buy the dumbbell layout. Why? Save a lot of space. Okay, you do not have long corridors like this. I wouldn't say this is a long corridor, but you won't have corridor space. So typically, the corridor space for a dumbbell unit, like the Myst, has already been factored. That's why the entire space will definitely seems to be wider. Okay, so if you have been to show flats and you have not seen a dumbbell layout versus the traditional corridor type, I think it's worth for you to reach out to us. Let us show you the differences, and you can really see the difference. And of course, developers also not so stupid. They know that dumbbell layout is always the most popular, most 吃香 one. Their prices also slightly always more expensive than the corridor one. So the walkway is always a given. But whether you are price sensitive, whether the space is really something that you really want to enjoy, prepared to pay a different type of premium, you see. All right, so for the placement, because why we have put in the numbers, because these are the space that you're getting for each layout, each zone of your house. And this is very important because as moving forward with the new guidelines for building and construction, space are only going to be shrunk. Okay, it's going to be more limited. And if today you don't have an idea about what is 11 square meters going to be, 9 square meter, how is it going to be, then you may have a problem visualizing whether you fit in a queen bed, king bed, or even a single bed. And this is very important. So many times when we are looking at properties for our clients, we already done all this research to understand how much space is required. Okay. And for Arden, okay, let's come back to Arden again. Their living hall and bedrooms are slightly bigger if you can look at their percentage or their numbers are slightly bigger. And Arden do have a storeroom, okay, their household shelter. All right, that's why both prices, if you ask for from a pricing perspective, 1.323 from 1.364 is very, very similar. But of course, Myst being a bigger project, same thing. Will this be the factor where people will pay additional, let's say 40,000 based on this example, just because of that? Well, I would say if the difference is not a lot, the Myst, based on layout, based on the space, could actually win over the Arden in this 2-bed 2-bath configuration. All right. So these are some of the things that we always look at. But of course, when we are looking at from an investment per se, one of the 5 factors that we look at is also rentability. And I kind of really discourage consumers. Let's say today, you are basing on today's renter. I think today's renter is everywhere is high. So no matter what, you will always be very happy in terms of your return of investment. But I like to be a little bit more kiasu and kiasi. Okay, I would like to be more conservative. I would like to always play down in terms of the renter to see can we accept that. Okay, so I mean, just to give you a quick overview, Hillian Residences is already 6 years old, and their average, and these are of course the latest renter. Okay, latest renter for the 2-bedroom are already going about 4,002. You see, so let's say in the next 4 years, 5 years, when the Myst or the Arden is ready, they are also nearer to MRT. Can they fetch almost the same price as today? I don't want to command 5,000. Okay, I don't like to project so much into the future, although relatively it should be that way. But I like to play down. So if let's say we rent the Myst at 4,000, can or not? Do you think 4 years down the road to rent at 4,000 is it reasonable? And for the Arden, 2-bed 1-bath, can we fetch 3,006? Can we fetch 4,000? So the moment when we are able to accept this kind of rental that can cover part of your mortgages, right? Not all the mortgages, part of the mortgages, right? Then you are very safe in terms of your entry into the property market. Okay, if not, you will always find that it's not enough. So there must be a benchmark in terms of your expectations and what the market can command. Everybody would like to hear very rosy stories. So for those who are here, you may be, Edmund, how come can you tell me that my property cannot fetch so good? yeah lah, I can tell you your property can fetch 6,000, but will it really happen? Okay, so I'm more conservative, but I'm giving you some of a reality check. Okay, I will never sell beyond what it cannot be done. I will rather deliver the best that I can that can exceed your expectation. Okay, so that is the reason why today everything is about numbers. Today, if you want to fetch a very good rental at 6,000, your rental yield, your ROI confirm is very nice on paper. But 4 years down the road, can it really fetch that amount? Whoever tells you can, I don't want to comment. Okay, my role is really to balance your prices, your rental, as well as your mortgage. We need to balance it up so that when you're holding on to this property, you do not need to worry. You can sleep very well at night. You no need to bother about this property because this property is self-sustainable. And that is important for property because why? Property is a long-term business. Okay, you want to buy, you don't want to shortcut yourself that you want to quickly sell it. In the event, if the worst case situation, you must still have the ability to hold this property. That's why we run through a lot of financial numbers from the start to kind of balance up whether from a mortgage perspective, the rental perspective, as well as your CPF contribution and everything. And this is very important. So today, if let's say you are already into the business, you're already into the market, you wanted to get something, you're exploring, and you kind of want to do something already, but you have not really done your financial sums correctly. And I'm talking about really very clear breakdown, how much you're using for a CPF, how much cash top up are you going to use? Is the renter going to cover part of your mortgages with your maintenance fee, etc., etc.? At the end of 3-5 years, what's the return that you're going to get back? All these things, if you have not calculated, my suggestion is don't do anything yet. I want to be very directly upfront because it's going to be very dangerous, very risky. Okay, I will never ever ask my clients to move forward if I have not seen their financial numbers in terms of calculation, because numbers cannot lie, my friend. If the numbers show that it's very risky, it means it's risky. Don't do it. But if the numbers show that there are ways that we can improve the situation, then let us help you restructure. All right, does it make sense? All right, so I'm very cautious, or I'm a little bit more cautious than a lot others, and this is because we have seen horror stories. Okay, horror stories about wrong financial calculation or buying the wrong property. And for those who know my history of what happened to my dad, you will know why. If not, try to find somewhere in my channel, you'll hear my story about why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Why am I so a little bit more anxious and careful, very, very careful? And why do we even use data and numbers to determine our sale and purchase instead of just guessing ourselves in? All right, so I have the video somewhere in my channel. You just have to search why Edmund Tan's story or something. You should be able to find. And then once you have heard it, if you can resonate that with me, that means I'm doing very well in what I'm doing. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so come again, just to give you a quick overview. One of the other rental comparison, of course, we want to compare the nearby, right? So the Myst, of course, is a bigger land, it's a full condo facilities. The only one that we can compare, of course, is Hazel Park. But Hazel Park is really very old, or 23 years old. But does it mean that we cannot use it as a guideline benchmark? Yes, we can. So the newer properties that is just TOP in 2022 is Bukit 828. But this one is a relatively 34 units property. So let us just quickly see this and how does it stand out in terms of the rental. So for 2-bedroom, you can see Hazel Park being at 23 years old, already 4,000. Okay, of course, we can comment that the size is bigger lah. But if Hazel Park is 23 years old, size is bigger, but the facility is not as updated, if we swap it, would it be able to fetch almost the same price for Myst and the Arden? So this is one benchmark that we can use. And if we look at Bukit 828, okay, the recent transactions for the 2-bed, 2-bath, you can see that it's already renting at about 3,008, and the 1-plate plus study is already 3,200 plus. And these are the more recent transactions. And I will say that the west side rental has always been very, very strong, and it will continue to do so because of the movement of a lot of commercial developments that is going to add in more demand into the west side. Okay, so let me just skip this too. Yeah, so one of the key things I also want to quickly jump into is just to cover a little bit on the 3-bedroom type. Okay, so just understand, let's say from a 3-bedroom, you can see how much the average per square foot in the different zones. We're talking about Amo residences, easily already 2003, Lentor Modern 2003, Seneca 2002, Botany already 2001 plus. Okay, and of course, if we look at the two differences for the Myst and Arden for the 3-bedroom now, okay, their sizes, you can see for the 3-bedroom, they go for the Myst, they have quite a few range, go from 3-bedroom to all the way 3 plus premium and plus study. Whereas for the Arden, they don't have so many configuration because of the number of units. So it's 1,012 and 1,012 and as well as 1,100 square foot. But also do take note based on the number of units. You have total 30 units for 3-bedrooms. Whereas for the Myst, you have more computation. So this is where the unit type, number of units is more important than the development size. Okay, you have to be very careful. Today, are we saying that this 30 units cannot sell? No, it's not really that. But out of these 30 units, what you should be looking at, what is the estimate percentage of people buying a 3-bedroom to sell their property, or will they be holding on to this property for own stay? So if let's say today you're buying for own stay, can you still go for Arden? Of course, because you are buying for own stay, right? You're not kind of using it as a form of instrument that you want to kind of change out your property much. So then it has no relative reason for you to not buy a smaller development with lesser units, because ultimately the price is right. You want to make sure that your entry price is lower. Yeah. Okay, so same thing, we put it up together, then we will start seeing that today, let's say from a 3-bed plus store for Arden, okay, they are ranging about 1.6 plus to the 3-bed plus study about 1.85. The Myst 3-bedroom starts from 1.7 all the way with store 1.9 and then 3 plus study 2.18. So there's definitely a disparity between these two. And later on, when we start seeing the layout, then you will understand what I mean. But let us also do the same comparison to Botany. So if you start seeing their 3-bedroom at already 1.9 million, how can you not buy a 3-bedroom at 1.6 or even 1.7 million? Okay, give and take, the size wise is 926. Okay, but what about the 3-bedroom plus store? It's already 2 over million. 3 plus study already also 2 over million. So this gives you a good comparison that today, actually, for those who bought, of course, I'm not suggesting that those who bought Botany, I'm not saying that whatever you buy is wrong now. I'm not saying that at all. But from a pricing perspective, did most of the people in Botany, did they overpay? That is the question. Okay, because today, ultimately, we need to do comparisons before we buy the property. And when Botany came out, of course, they were using Dairy Farm as an example. They say that, oh, Dairy Farm is already this price, you're buying this price, da, da, da. But many of them, they forgot to see beyond. Okay, they forgot to see beyond that, which is why when we start comparing the Arden and the Myst, their per square foot, their overall pricing is very, very attractive. I can tell you, very attractive. All right, to us, it's almost like, durian bao jia. All right, you sure can get it, and you are very, very safe in terms of your exit. Because today, if you are entering in one of the highest property price in a region, in a neighborhood, in an estate, then you have to sell much, much higher than other people. So today, if you really want to enter, you want to enter safe to become one of the lowest entry, and no matter how the market goes, you have the margin to work with. All right, so this is one of the key guidelines that we always advise our clients. So let's study the 3-bedroom layout, which is typically, I think, 3-bedroom layout, you can't go too far off. But of course, there are some minor things that I just want to point out. Same thing, I've already laid out with the numbers of the square meters for each space. Okay, so for 3-bedroom for the Arden, right? So the one thing is that they have a storeroom. Okay, they have a storeroom here, which is great. And for both, right, the only thing that I kind of dislike these two is they don't have yard. They don't have a yard, and typically that means this is more of a what do you call it, compact 3-bedroom lah. Also, if today we want to go for 3-bedroom, you want to really consider the yard. Some of them, they say that, oh, I can do without the yard because I can use the balcony. Fair. All right. But what is interesting is a 3-bedroom for the Myst, they managed to do even a dumbbell concept. Okay, they have 1 bedroom here, they have 2 bedroom this side. So as much as they can, they save space. Okay, they save space in terms of the corridor, which is why the difference is the space that they are able to fit in 850. It will definitely feel more spacious than even a 960 square foot size. Okay, so these are the main two difference. And the Arden, coming back to the Arden has a little bit more privacy because you come in, you don't, like the Myst is you kind of go through it, the entire space. But for the Arden, you kind of don't see your living hall area. So they kind of split your dining and your living hall differently. So that is something that I think is getting more and more common for a lot of the 3 bedrooms with this kind of privacy. All right. So other than the interesting part is because the development is only 106 or 108 units, right? A lot of their 3 bedrooms, or a lot of their units are able to be corner unit. So for Arden itself, because being a corner unit, their kitchen, they have a window, okay, and their bathroom also got window, okay. So these are the things that you need to look at, okay. You need to look at because most homestayers, and 3 bedrooms are usually for homestayers, will prefer to have windows in their toilet, in their kitchen, and everything. All right, so this is something that we have to take note. And if you compare to the Myst, technically no window for 3 bedroom. Okay, so then question is, will this be a point where it discourages you from buying? All right, so every one of us, we look at different things. That's where we come in to assist you to gain more clarity about what kind of decision making you should be making, or instead of just anyhow purchase a property. Also, again, Myst is bigger, better facilities, so it will still appeal to different tenants and different resale buyers in future. But let us look at the bigger comparison for the Arden as well as the Myst. So this is the other configuration, and this very close because both are now corner units already. These are both corner units, which means they will have windows in their bathroom and their kitchen, everything. You will have all this extra space, right? But the Arden is a 3+ study. Just take note. Okay, Arden is a 3+ study. So if you start looking at the comparison, right? Usually a 3+ study, such a big space, usually caters to family. But for this configuration, I was quite shocked. Okay, they don't have a yard and don't have even a kind of maid's bathroom. So typically, most of the 3+1 I have seen 3+ study would have already fit in these two, and their size is not small. It's already 1,109 square feet. And if you have seen enough layouts like I have, you'll be able to point this out very quickly that, hey, how come this is missing? You see, of course, give and take, they have the household shelter that you can use it as storage. The helper can stay even in the study room. So you can kind of play around with the configuration, which is not too bad. Okay. But again, foyer thing, some people like, some people don't like, because you have like long corridor, you have long corridor. These are additional space that you pay, but I don't know, you can't really make use of them. And even if today you want to put your helper here, you kind of in the dining area, also kind of odd. So likelihood you will not put your helper inside the family shelter. You will likely use a study space to use it to double it up as a helper's room, which is very comfortable. Okay, very comfortable. Yeah, so this is why Arden has their pros and cons, definitely. Okay, and now let's look at the Myst. Okay, the Myst is only 1,300, and this is just a 3-bed. This is just a 3-bed. And this one, you can see that they have a proper utility space. This is why, because I must understand, why do I want to analyze layout with you? Because today, right, you're buying it on plan, yes. But ultimately, when you sell it, right, you're selling it as a subsale or resale. Buyers are going to look at all these things. Okay. And today, if you buy a property without some of all these things that the next buyer needs, then you are hitting yourself on the foot, because the buyer will also ask questions like what I'm going to share with you. So today, if you have problems seeing so many different layouts, you do not know how to pick up what is right, what is the things that you should look out for, please reach out to us so that we can guide you systematically on why a certain layout always wins over some other layout, and they can sell faster. Okay, very like when I do this comparison, you can start seeing the difference. Okay, if not, you're always seeing one or the other. It's very difficult for you to do comparison like this. All right, but we have seen so many, so that's where our expertise comes in. Okay, so the Myst has a utility again, all right, which of course you can double it up as a storeroom, you can double it up as a helper's room, and they do have window. Let me just clean this up. They do have the window here. Okay, they do have the windows, and most importantly, they have another WC which is can use as a helper's bathroom. So a smaller size, is it more efficient in terms of their layout? So this is why these two differences, okay? And the configuration, okay? Sometimes I also wonder, do we really need such a big master room or not versus a common master room size? So these are where the usage of space comes in, and that's why when we start seeing sizes, we will know what's the norm across the board for most of the properties, that we want to consider how people pay for it next time. Okay, very important. All right. So once you see this 3+ study plus a 3-bed 2-bath, which will be your choice? Will you choose Arden A, or will you choose the Myst B? All right, put in your answers in the comment below. Which one would you prefer if you are the one buying a 3+ study or a 3-bedroom unit? Okay. So now we start seeing the 3+ study versus the 3+ study now. Okay, so just this one is a 3+ study plus a versus a 3-bedroom. So let us do the comparison between both are 3+ study right now. Okay, so both are almost the same size, so you can't go too much difference. Okay, but same thing lah. The Arden, you know all the pros and cons already. Okay, but for a Myst, does it matches out to the Arden's 3+ study? Wow, so now you can start seeing that, wow, actually today if you start seeing the Myst, so they also have a L shape, which is more privacy. Okay, and they have a proper study that you can double it up. But most importantly is that now for the Myst, they have a yard, they have a WC, they have a household shelter, which is by the kitchen. So that means you can also house your helper inside the household shelter, and they will have full privacy, the commander of the entire kitchen. Does it make sense? All right, so which is why the Arden's configuration, even if you want to house the helper here, you are by the dining, which I don't think most people will. And then that means you have to sacrifice your study to become a helper's room. So from a configuration perspective, the usability perspective, and most importantly, functionality. Okay, functionality, which one makes more sense in terms of the layout? Okay, so this is why these are all the things that we see. So if you look at the prices, right, 1.85 versus 2.182, will you, Arden being 324,000 cheaper, right, will it draw buyers? Definitely, because of the price point, right? It's less than 2 million. But then when you start seeing this to sell it in future as a resale, would some of all these things that I point out be a factor for the resale buyers? Okay, for the next buyer. So that's why we need to be very careful in terms of selecting the right layout and the right project for whatever purposes that you have. Does it make sense? All right. So of course, being a 3+ study, I also kepo lah. I go and look into whether the 4-bedroom versus the 3+ study, because we don't only look at size. We don't only look at layout. We also need to look at price, because today a 3+ study is at 1.858. The same Myst 3-bed plus study is at 2.182. So a difference of what, 300 over 1,000. So most people will say that, wow, I go and buy the cheaper one at Arden, because Arden is 1.85 in terms of cheaper. But if let's say you can get almost the same price and you can get a 4-bedroom Arden, now it becomes a 4-bedroom. How does it match to a Myst 3+ study? See, there's so many things that we do comparison for you all when before you even buy a property. How many of you agree that if you have somebody who can compare all these things together, you will not be worried that you're buying the wrong property at the wrong price? Agree or not? So today, if you start looking at the prices, Arden for a 4-bedroom is at 2.108. Myst is at 2.182. It's cheaper than a 3+ study, but I'm getting a proper 4-bedroom, super attractive. And this time round, the 4-bedroom, wow, very different already, because I got a yard. Oh, I got a WC. See, now it becomes better. And I'm having a proper 1, 2, 3, 4-bedroom. So this is a proper livable space, and I'm paying lesser than a Myst 3+ study. So give and take, same thing, because the Myst, of course, being a bigger project, they have better facilities, etc., etc. That's why they will have to command a premium, even if it's a 4-bedroom. But today, if you are quite price sensitive, okay, you are price sensitive, you really do want to stretch yourself a little bit, but it still has to be functional. Which one will you go for in this configuration? Will you go for A, the Arden 4-bedroom, or will you go for B for the Myst 3+ study? All right, with all factors the same of what I shared with you. Share inside the comment. All right, because the rental, I'm not so concerned about the rental, to be honest, even if you're using this as a form of investment, because the rental there for Helion has been very comfortable, even for their 3-bedroom, for 1,000 to 1,002 square foot. They can already fetch 4,008. Okay, some of them even 6,000. Wow, crazy. All right. But of course, these are all current market. So if we are able to rent the Myst at 5,008 or even Arden at 5,008, would it actually give us a better edge over the other future older properties? And if we start looking at Hazel Park, as I just shared, Hazel Park is already 23 years. If we start comparing Hazel Park, they already are fetching 5,005. Of course, they are bigger but older. So if we fetch almost the same price in 4 years down the road by 2028, can we fetch about 5,008? So this becomes a huge support that today, if you buy this property, even if you don't want to stay and you intend to rent it out to people, you are not concerned about your rentability. You cannot fetch. Okay, so this is very, very important. So moving forward, I want to quickly do a comparison for 4-bedroom. Okay, and 4-bedroom, just to give you a quick overview, they are easily above the $2,000 per square foot mark already in all the various locations. So using the same concept that I've shared with you for the 2-bed and the 3-bed, let us mirror both. For the 4-bedroom, we have about 49 units, whereas for the Arden, we have about 30 units as well. So their 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom configuration is plus minus. You can see where their focus is at. And typically, of course, in District 23, Bukit Panjang, many of them are also perhaps buying for their own stay. Will we have tenants who are looking for the 3 and 4-bedroom? I would say it will be increasing more. And I share with you the reason why, because a lot of PRs, when they are looking at properties, they are moving their families over, and definitely they will rent before they start thinking about purchasing. And who knows, by the time maybe you want to sell to some of them later on in the market. And when we do a comparison like this, as what we have done, you can see the 4-bedroom units, they are all average about 1,200 square foot, all the way to even 1,005 for the Myst. Okay. And pricing is from 2.1 million, 2.3 million for their Arden, which is the 4-bedroom. The Myst, of course, their 4-bedroom is huge. Okay. They purposely build it that way so that you have a huge comparison, right? And they will easily command you at 2.8 million for the 4-bedroom. And for Botany, can you see the prices now with a similar size of 1,200 plus, 15 minutes to MRT, you are already 2.69 million. If I compare Botany to the Arden, and Arden is nearer to the MRT, pricing wise, do you find that Arden is super attractive? Or we don't even talk about it, PSF, we just talk about quantum, just talk about quantum wise. Okay, it's super attractive. You know, about 2.1 million, 2.2 million, I can get a proper 4-bedroom unit. So sometimes when we see properties like this, it's also one of the reasons why sometimes some properties, no matter the location is how good, they have already purchased it at a much higher price than a lot of people, which makes, not that they are unable to exit. Okay, so even if today you buy a property at a higher price, I won't say wrong price, higher price, it doesn't mean you cannot exit. You just have to wait for the next cycle for the property prices to go up to come to your pricing. So you will lose maybe 1 or even 2 cycles, but eventually the price will catch up. From a pricing perspective, it's just that you're losing time. That's it. All right. So it really depends on how your entry is, what age you are at, what kind of leverage are you losing out in terms of opportunity in the 2 cycles or 1 cycle later on. And these are all very important before you even buy the property. So many times, buyers, they buy the wrong property because they did not see it that far. They did not see from another perspective of how we share with them. So once they understand this, sometimes the decision that they want to make likely is against what they are thinking. All right, so that's where we come in to give you more clarity about the property prices, what your plan is, how long are you going to hold this property, what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years down the road. I think these are all questions you need to ask yourself before putting in more than $1 million into one property. Okay, so please do your homework. All right, data numbers cannot lie, and which is why I always use it as a form of guideline, a reference point to help all our clients to transit and make that 6-figure profits in within 3 to 4 years down the road. Okay, it has been very successful using the REI method. All right, so let us take a look at the 4-bedroom. All right, so of course, Arden, they have a smaller 4-bedroom, which is 1,200 plus per square foot. The Myst only have one type, which is 1,005, which is huge. That's why there's a disparity in terms of prices. All right, so the Arden and the Myst will appeal to different buyers. So today, will you buy a 4-bedroom and buy it and then just rent it out? Or will you stay? So like I mentioned, typically those who buy a 4-bedroom, likely they will not be renting it out unless due to whatever reason. Okay, it's very rare. But if you want to look at it from a staying perspective, I think both layout are very comfortable. Very comfortable. The only thing is, the only thing that people will consider Arden is because of price, no? Because less than 2.2 million, I can get a 4-bedroom unit with proper layout. The only thing is that you must take note for the Arden. Okay, and I want to point this out in case you miss it. You have 4-bedroom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we don't talk about the master room because master room will have their own toilet. But can you notice you only have 1 bath? So we're talking about 3-bedroom sharing 1 bath. Okay, which is for 4-bedroom, typically you should have 3 bathroom. But of course, you can argue the fact, oh, there's a WC that you can use lah. I mean, if you want to think that way. Okay. Yeah, so just always remember the 1206 is almost like the size of a normal 5-bedroom, 5-room HDB flat. And that means I'm staying in a HDB configuration, 3-bedroom, that kind of. So there is this part that you have to a little bit more careful. Okay, and with let's just see the size again. With a 20 square meter master bedroom, wow, it's huge there. Very, very big. All right, your bathroom is already at least 5 square meters, right? So in a way, it's like I'm putting in a lot of space, but do I really need all this space? That is the question. And for the Myst, on the other hand, even though the size is big, so it will definitely appeal to more buyers who want final lifestyle for homestay because it's huge, 1,500 plus, and all the bedrooms you can see they're all attached with the bathroom. So this is a very private kind of. This is ideally for if let's say you have a family of 5, 3 kids. Then these 3 kids, 2 are daughter, 1 is son. Then they all get their own space, get their own room as they are growing up from teenager, young teenager to slightly adulthood. Right. So this configuration will very fit those profiles that they just finished secondary school and you're intending to stay there definitely at least for the next 15 years or so. This kind of configuration, I would say go for it. Go for the 4-bedroom because as they grow up, they will definitely need to have their own space, and the space is already catered for. And I think this is a very wonderful configuration that they already have done. And this is really for the family planning perspective to see. You see, yeah. So of course, pricing wise, if you are price sensitive, nothing wrong with Arden, but I would say think it a little bit better. Perhaps you want to go for the 4+ study. 4+ study Arden, okay, 1,300 plus. Perhaps you want to look into this. You see, yeah. So of course, 4+ study, I would say more or less not much different. Same thing again. You still have 1, 2, 3 sharing 1 bath. Or I have an extra space of study. Does it matter to pay that 200,000? Okay, 200,000 more just for the study space, and yet I still don't get my additional toilet. I think by the time you go for a 4-bedroom, if you don't have enough toilet, I think not enough. Although I don't like to, I always find toilet a little bit waste of space. But if you have the number of people staying in a 4-bedroom and you don't have enough toilet, then they have to use the master room. Okay, so what do you think? Is the Arden's 4+ study configuration with the lack of toilet a big concern for you or not? What do you think? All right, maybe you can share in the comment. Will this seeing yourself staying inside, will it be a concern with the lack of a toilet? Maybe it's not, I don't know, but maybe that's my point of view. But from your point of view, maybe it's workable. If it's workable, share with me what your thoughts is. Will they really use the master room? And of course, I have some clients who joke with me that they can always go downstairs and use toilet. I also sometimes I also don't know what to say lah. Okay. Yeah, so this is basically it wraps up the entire comparison from the 2-bedroom all the way to 4-bedroom between the Arden as well as the Myst. All right, of course, if you ask me, both definitely have their upsides and downsides. We can't say that a perfect property is out there, price is great, layout is great, and all the furnishing, everything is great. There will definitely be some areas where we kind of dislike. But the question I always pose to my clients who are following us is, what is the type, what can we accept and don't accept? And then we have to play a price to it of the premium. All right, today, do I tag MRT as the premium that I'm willing to pay for it? If that is something of your priority, then you may want to tag a bigger sum to the MRT. But if let's say, oh, layout, the toilet, or the windows are my priority, then that's where you will weigh that portion a little bit more than the others. So I hope that today the Myst and the Arden give you a better indication. And I think we have quite some fun to decide which layout is more suitable. And again, if today you are kind of deciding whether do you still want to go for the Myst or the Arden, and you're kind of lost because you yourself are not clear in your direction, in your plans, well, do reach out. My contacts is inside the description. Do reach out. We will be able to give you a very concise plan, and you'll be able to quickly make a decision which one you should go for immediately. And maybe you have a first mover advantage versus the others by your decision, by your quick decision. And of course, when we mean quick, it doesn't mean that you're rushing. Okay, we do quick decisions means you're equipped with all the knowledge and understanding before you buy the property. And we can do it rather quick. Okay, but we are not rushing to do it. Right. So I hope that today's session gives you guys a very clear reason why I'm very excited about the upper side of Bukit Panjang, and whether the Myst or the Arden is something that you want to look into for your own property journey, whether it's your own sale or investment. Well, our contact details are there. You can reach out to us for a more personalized consultation where we deep dive using your finances, your plans with our REI method to help you make an informed decision using data, numbers, and research. All right, with that, thank you so much. I see you guys real soon. Cheers.